Let's talk about America's relationship with drugs. Because right now, it's a mess. The rules are changing so fast, but you've got public opinion, science, and the law all pulling in completely different directions.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Is any of this actually making sense? I mean, think about it. You have states legalizing left and right, science is just exploding with new possibilities, and the public is more on board than ever. But then, you've got the federal government cracking down in some really unexpected ways.
The short answer? Yeah, it's really complicated. We're living in this era of total contradiction. You've got public policy, what people do in their own lives, and these incredible scientific breakthroughs all just crashing into each other. And a big reason why is that none of them are moving at the same speed.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to look at this paradox through four, I think, really fascinating stories. We've got a political secret about psychedelics, a super surprising cannabis expansion down in Florida, an AI revolution that's changing plant breeding, and a huge legal fight over hemp. And then we'll tie it all together.
All right, first up, let's dive into a personal contradiction. This one's about a really high-profile political figure and a major clash between their public persona and what's allegedly going on behind closed doors.
And whoa, the contrast here is pretty stark. So in her book, American Canto, journalist Olivia Nuzzi makes some pretty big allegations about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the HHS secretary. Publicly, he's the guy in charge of the agency that oversees all these substances. He talks a lot about his sobriety, his support for psychedelic therapy, but privately, the book claims he's not only using powerful psychedelics like DMT just for fun, but that he's actually hiding it from his wife.
And just so we're all on the same page, DMT isn't some casual thing. It's widely considered one of the most powerful psychedelics on the planet. We're talking about something that can trigger these incredibly intense, though short, experiences. Users sometimes even describe it as ego death. So, yeah, this is serious stuff. This quote from the book really just crystallizes the whole allegation. It's pretty specific. The claim is he told the author he'd wait for his wife to be out of the house to go smoke DMT. I mean, that paints a pretty vivid picture of secrecy and contradiction, right at the very top of our government.
Okay, let's switch gears from the personal to the political. And for this next contradiction, we're heading to a place that might surprise you: Florida. Yep, you heard that right. In Florida, a Republican lawmaker is actually the one pushing to expand medical marijuana access in a big way. This totally goes against the usual party lines, and believe me, this isn't some minor adjustment. It's a huge legislative push.
And what's really wild is just how much this bill covers. It's from Representative Bill Partington, and get this, it would let doctors recommend cannabis for any condition where they might otherwise prescribe an opioid. That alone is a massive shift, but it doesn't stop there. It extends how long patient registrations are good for, gets rid of fees for veterans, allows telehealth for your first certification. It even creates a system for out-of-state patients. It's just a shockingly progressive bill from a source you really wouldn't expect.
Okay, so we've seen personal and political contradictions. Now let's jump over to the world of science. Because here, the conflict is all about speed. The insane speed of technology crashing up against the slow, grinding pace of how we grow things and regulate them.
Just look at the difference here. The old way of breeding a new cannabis strain, it was a marathon. We're talking 6 to 8 years of planting, growing, testing, repeat. But now, with AI, it's a completely different ballgame. Researchers can basically simulate thousands of genetic crosses on a computer. They can test drive them, predicting things like THC levels or terpene profiles before a single seed even touches the soil. That 8-year cycle, it gets shrunk down to a fraction of the time.
And it's not just about being faster either. This is, as researchers from the University of Saskatchewan put it, a paradigm shift. It's a total game changer. It gives breeders this level of precision that used to be pure science fiction, allowing them to literally design plants with specific chemical profiles. It's a perfect example of tech moving at light speed while the laws that are supposed to govern it are just left in the dust.
And that brings us to our last and probably most tangled contradiction. This is a full-on, head-on collision between federal and state law, and it's all about the humble hemp plant.
Yeah, this timeline really shows you the whiplash. So, back in 2018, the Farm Bill makes hemp legal on a federal level. Boom! A billion-dollar industry for things like Delta-8 THC pops up. But then, fast forward to now, and there's a little provision tucked away in a spending bill that basically says, nope, never mind. It sets up a federal ban on most of those products, set to kick in late 2026. So the feds literally created an industry and are now about to tear it down. And this chart just lays out what a legal mess this is. For years, we've known the deal with marijuana, right? Federally illegal, but legal in a bunch of states. Well, now we're about to have the exact opposite problem with hemp products like Delta-8. They've been federally legal and sold everywhere, but now they're about to become federally illegal, even though tons of states have built entire legal markets around them. It's completely flipped.
So what happens now? Honestly, nobody really knows. The Congressional Research Service looked into it, and their best guess is uncertainty. They figured the Department of Justice probably doesn't have the people or money for a giant crackdown, so maybe they'll just look the other way, like they do with state legal marijuana. And get this for a clever workaround. States might just be able to relabel these hemp products as medical cannabis to protect them. But at the end of the day, the CRS is clear. If this mess is going to get fixed, Congress has to be the one to do it.
Okay, let's step back and look at the big picture. We've got a politician's alleged double life, a state law that defies expectations, a huge leap in science, and a massive legal showdown. So what does all this add up to?
Well, these aren't just four random, isolated stories. They're all symptoms of the same thing, a country that is seriously struggling to figure out its future with drugs. What we're seeing is the friction, the sparks that fly when science, state laws, and the federal government are all moving at totally different speeds and often in opposite directions. Each one of these contradictions is like a pressure point, showing us exactly where the debate is happening right now.
And all of this leaves us with one really big question. With science, states, and politicians all pulling this way and that, who is actually in the driver's seat? Who's deciding where America goes from here with drug policy? Is it the voters, the scientists, the regulators in D.C.? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like no one is fully in control. It feels like we're all navigating this brand new world without a map.